welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is week 2 of our Dungeon 23 challenge. In the first week, we went through the gatehouse, which is rooms 01 through 07. So these rooms, entry, guard rooms, tower above. Now we are moving into the next region, which is this zone. And this zone was the theme of stars. Now, there were a couple of suggestions, and one of them, and this was actually the first thing that occurred to me, was to make some sort of like a wizard tower or an observation tower looking at the stars. But a friend of mine suggested pentagrams that serve as teleportation circles to other parts of the dungeon. And I thought this sounded like an excellent idea because one of the things that's a struggle with mega dungeons that have many levels and large maps is that when the players have cleared, say, the top couple of levels, they have to wander on down through to get back in after they go out. Like they're going to have to go out, rest, and come back a lot of times in a mega dungeon. The dungeon is the campaign, so you're not going to just be inside it. You're going to leave and go to town and come back. And most good mega dungeons have some kind of mechanism where you can bypass the upper levels that you've already cleared and go straight to where you left off. So I think these will do a really good job of allowing teleport. Now I don't know exactly what levels they'll go to because we're going to have to discover that. So there are 6 in the 7 rooms I created. One of the rooms is tiny; it's just a 10 by 10 foot room, so I didn't put anything in there. But of the 7 rooms I created, as you can see, there are 6 pentagrams, and they're each going to lead to another level of the dungeon. Each one needs a password, and I think one of the keys here is not to put the passwords in general on this level. So they can't just accidentally go from this level to level 8 or something. But when they get to the pair, the sister of each pentagram on a lower level, there, somewhere near it, they will find the password that will let them go back, and then they can use it both ways. So that's kind of the way I've decided to do these pentagrams. I'm also not showing you the text here because I'm not sure that there's any value to that. I'm just going to tell you what's in each of the rooms. So let's start with 0108. In 0108, this was an antechamber. It's adjacent to the gatehouse. There are 3 doors. The portcullis on the south is rusted open. There is a dank, moldy smell in here, and far off is the sound of birds chirping, possibly coming from outside. Part of the ceiling has fallen away to form rubble in the northwest corner, as you can see. In the northeast corner is a painted red circle with an upside-down star, and all of them look like this, and they're painted in blood, of course. And near the pentagram is a corpse with its head on an old, crumbling cushion. So that's G. In fact, I didn't label it G, so let me put that. The rubble, if you make a successful notice roll, there's actually a silver tiara worth 75 gold buried here. The corpse was a woman. She's probably been dead for years, but she hasn't composed all the way to a skeleton. A notice check shows that there are some rotting bits of clothing and armor and the sheath for a dagger. Remember, there's a rusted dagger in one of the other rooms, so it's probably hers. This indicates she may have been an adventurer. There's a cushion under her head. It looks like somebody was trying to ease her rest. It's unclear from the position whether they put the cushion under her head while she was still alive, while they were trying to treat her, or after she was dead. There's a crumbled up parchment among her belongings if the body is searched. It seems to be a journal of her adventures. And she wrote in there, we think the circle may be activated with a password. So this will give the adventurers a clue. And if they make a healing check, she was slashed with claws in several places and probably died from the wounds. The pentagram, if they make an occult check on any of the pentagrams, a success says it seems to be a magical circle, probably invoked by casting a ritual, and a raise would indicate it might be a teleportation circle. This will get you to a sister circle, but you would need some sort of a magical word. The north door is stuck and requires athletics to open. By the way, I don't know, except for one, I don't know any of the passwords or where they lead. We'll figure that out as we go on other levels. The east door and the west door are both unlocked. So that's that room. Now, number 09, so then I rolled, we have a corridor here. And so then I decided to mirror it on both sides because I figured in a stronghold it probably would be. And then we get to this room, which is 0109. And this was the trophy room. There are alcoves along the wall that used to hold various display items, but most are now empty. But there's a stuffed bear visible in one alcove on the east wall. That's H. Um, it's but this room has been converted into a torture chamber. There's an Iron Maiden in one of the alcoves that's open and has dried blood on the spikes. That's I for Iron Maiden. There's a rack in the center of the floor, J, and there are clamps and chains hanging from pegs on the west wall. This room is owned by the second of the factions, the Moontooth Pack. I rolled up that they were were creatures. So there are 2 werewolves in here. There's a pack of lycanthropes that dwells in this dungeon. Hidden behind the stuffed bear with a notice check, unless you're specifically searching behind it, is some of the werewolves' treasure of 1,000 silver pieces. We've got the same pentagram. Don't know what the password is. The southwest door is stuck and the northwest door is unlocked. I then, rather than rolling here, I said, let me see what's north. Is this going to be a hallway or a room? And I rolled that it was a room. This is room 110, which is the audience chamber. This is where you would go to be heard in an audience, right? So this makes sense. Sort of the antechamber is your waiting room, and then the audience chamber is up here. This was originally the audience chamber for those seeking to meet with the commander and be heard. The ceiling is mostly crumbled, leaving the room open to the outside from above. It's currently being used by the Moontooth Pack as a mess hall. There's a large cook pit in the center of the room and a large pile of wood beside it, and there are several tables and benches. There's a smoky smell, and the room is unoccupied. The south door is stuck. The north and east doors are unlocked. The west door is trapped with a mechanical lock that's a stone block falling from the ceiling if you try to open it without disarming it. Notice -2 to detect, agility -2 to avoid it, and a thievery -2 to disarm it. It does 2d6 damage or 3d6 on a crit fail to avoid it. And I don't know the password or where the pentagram leads. So that's this room. Then room 11. These are shelves because this was a library. But I don't think this one is used. I don't know if this is used by the werewolves or somebody else. This was a library, but is now some kind of an occult worship area. So it was a library or a study, probably a library because there's a study in another spot. Wooden shelves once line the south wall. Most of these are broken and empty. There might be a few books worth discovering, and I have those written down. But in the center the center has been converted into a worship area for a randomly generated demon lord named Uzganor. There's a black stone altar in the center of the room upon which stands a 3-foot idol of Uzganor himself. So Uzganor is the first creature in the religion that I've created. He's the demon lord of something, I'm not sure what, ruler of Isaroth, of the countless burning regions. So let's say he's the demon lord of, I don't know, steam. And the reason I say that is because he has a human head and torso. The arms and legs and tail are of a lion. He's got claws on his paw-like hands and feet, sharp spike on his otherwise lion-like tail, leathery bat-like wings, and a miasma of noxious, choking smoke envelops him. That's the steam. So he's the demon lord of steam. So there is this altar to him, and if you move the idol in any way, it engages a trap. So now the bookshelves, a regular success on the bookshelf reveals a book bound in wood, written in purple ink called Of Demons. It's a book of demonology, and it names Uzganor. Reading the entire thing takes 2 hours. You have to make a fear check. If you're successful, you gain a conviction. If you fail, you roll on the fear table. If you get a raise looking for the bookshelf on notice, you find a black leather-bound book, 8 by 3 inches, 30 pages long, entitled Screams in the Hills. It appears to have been written by one of Dane's knights during the early days of the Watch and describes unnerving howls and moans on nights of the full moon. So this is the hint that there are werewolves. The idol trap, which is a notice -2 to detect and a thievery -2 to disarm, is attached to a lever that goes down into the altar. This stuff was all randomly rolled, guys. If moved in any way, the lever activates and opens a chute that takes you down, sliding down like through a smooth slide down into the next level. And it's not climbable, it's too smooth, so you can't get back up unless you have flight. And there could be some damage if you fail a vigor roll. And this shouldn't, and I made a note, this does not lead to the same place as the pentagram. So it's not going to be the case that you can slide down, use a pentagram to come back up. You slide down, if this pentagram is matched to anything, it's somewhere else on that level or on another level entirely. So that's this stuff. Um, However, the password to this pentagram is Uzganor. So if they are smart enough and they realize they need a password, it'll lead them somewhere else. The west door is unlocked and the east door is stuck. So that's that room. Now, room 12 was a storage room, a pantry. There are barrels of oil. There's enough oil in the barrels that they can get 4 flax worth of usable lantern oil. It's currently being used as storage by the were creatures. They have some wood and some bolts of cloth and some lamp oil, as I said, and animal bones, scrap metal, and the like. And there are 4 were rats in here. They're part of the Moontooth pack. They have 250 gold pieces among them. They do not know how the pentagrams work. They realize they're magical, but they don't know what they do, and they generally avoid them. And then we have, of course, the pentagram with another password. Then I randomly rolled that going through this door was a 10 by 10 foot room, so I decided that's the privy, and there isn't anything to discover in there. And then the final room, 1-14, was originally a study, and there's a desk in the northwest corner that doesn't contain anything but old documents, mostly rotted away, of the management of the stronghold, but has been converted into a sleeping area for the Moontooth pack. However, what I rolled in this room randomly, this was in Scarlet Heroes, was that the occupant is a non-combat occupant. So I then randomly rolled up what type of a creature, and this is a female dwarf named Fifretha Heavy Flare, who is willingly obedient to the pack. She wants to deactivate the trap in the goblin area that we talked about in the previous episode so that the pack can attack them. She has no special abilities or weapons, though. She's just like a normal civilian. The west door, the north and south doors are unlocked, but the west door here is trapped. When the stone door, when the floor stone is stepped on, small vents release paralyzing gas. Notice -2 to detect, thievery to disarm, vigor to resist. If you fail, you are stunned and cannot recover for 1d4 plus 1 rounds. The werewolves and were-rats and Fifretha know about this trap and avoid the door. And then, of course, there's a pentagram, and I don't know where it leads. So that is the stars theme, and that is the new area. So we have 2 areas completed in this part of the stronghold, and I feel like this is the most intact part. Maybe we're going to get into a more ruined area in the future. Don't know. I was sort of forcing some of this to be logical, but now that we're going past this area, this entry area, I don't know what it's going to lead to. So this is kind of what it looks like now. And now we have to come up with the next dungeon theme. So I'm not going to show you this, but you can look at the previous episode if you want to see what the possible themes are. I'm going to just shuffle the deck a couple of times and then cut it. And we'll see what our theme for this coming week is going to be. So shuffled and now cut. And the top card is another spade. Wow, I keep getting spades. And this one is the 5 of spades. So the next theme is light. So the next theme is light. And that will be the theme for the next rooms. And I think maybe what that theme will be is everything is crumbled. And so everything's open to the outside, and you're just seeing fragments of walls rather than entire walls. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that in Dungeon Scroll. We'll see. I'll play around with that in the next day or two as I work on the map. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. That is our first 14 rooms done. Halfway through the first level of this dungeon. And until next time, I am Scrapperlock. And this has been Dungeon 23.